Philip Bill Wagner from the Baltimore Sun and Capital Gazette newspapers. Just talk about the pass defense, giving up some yards in the first couple games. What do you have to do to kind of tighten things up a little bit?
We've been harping on communication, getting calls, getting lined up. Like that's been the main point of focus, especially going into Tulsa. Like that's kind of been our big thing is just getting the call, getting lined up, knowing what we're in. That's something that I feel like has been lackluster, the last couple of weeks. So we're trying to get that handled this week.
When you go back and look at the pass interference penalties, anything that you technique wise would or should have done differently? Is it a matter of getting your head turned around and locating the ball, or what would you say? What's Coach Green telling you?
I know the first one when we came out of the break, it was just too handsy. And like I've been hearing it all camp, like, I'm holding, like we don't have refs at practice, so there's no way to really know for sure. But throughout camp, like coaches have been kind of telling me like you're being a little too grabby, a little too handsy. So I think the first one was definitely just that, just grabbing onto the receiver too long. Like initial grab is okay, but once it's excessive, like they have to throw the flag. So that was the first one. And then the second one, I didn't all the way agree with it, but to start the playoff, I wasn't lined up. They did kind of like a dummy call, and I kind of got lazy in my stance, and they snapped the ball real quick, so I was out of position. I didn't agree with the flag, but if I would have been in the right position, it probably wouldn't have been a flag to begin with. So that's just what that was.
And lastly, on the one touchdown, was that a case of where you need to get turned around and locate the ball to make a play on the ball? Because that kind of was a jump ball situation on a fade pattern, and the receiver goes up and gets it. How would you redo that again if you had it over?
That was another one. Like just my technique and the things that I can control kind of led to the plays being made on me and even like the pass interference. Like we were in a cover three look. There's no way I should be getting beat on a cover three. But just my eyes, being in the backfield, not all the way being disciplined and handling what I'm supposed to handle, kind of led to me being out of phase a little bit and having to play through the hands when really that should have been an opportunity for me to make, a play on the ball, not trying to be playing through the wide receiver's hands. So just got to clean up some stuff on my end.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Barry Trammell.
Yeah, Barry Trammell from the Tulsa World newspaper in Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Philip, you guys went down to Fort Worth, your hometown, and beat Oklahoma in
Sir.
the bowl game last year. What did that victory do from a player's perspective? What did that victory do for the Navy football program?
From a player perspective, I think it showed like we can really play with the best of the best. You talk about the SEC, that's, big power forward conference. That's, the best of the best, like we said. So for us to be able to go to Fort Worth and go to TCU, obviously my hometown. And like my mom was joking, like it was a sea of red. So, playing in that environment where Oklahoma, was the heavy favorite or ever may be and showing like we can play. And not only can we play, we can win. I think was huge for just our team's confidence going into next year, like knowing what we're able to do.
Does a victory like that, when it, I don't know what it's like to be a college football player or a midshipman in Annapolis, but both of those are fairly high aspiring levels to reach. Difficult to do either one. To do both seems pretty high standard for a guy to try to match. When you can win a game like that, does that send messages to high school kids saying, "Hey, you can do both. You can, have great career goals in the Naval Academy and with the Navy, but you can also play big time college football."
I 100% think winning in general helps with recruiting, but being able to, go recruit and show high school kids, like you said, like not only can you, get this career and have this job, serving your country, you can also play big time ball and you can win. I think that's huge for recruiting and like getting kids here and showing them like it's not all just, super military, no football. Like we do both, we balance both well. And, I admire that about myself and the team.
Last question then. What do you remember most about that afternoon in Fort Worth that day?
I just Fort Worth is so I live like maybe 5, 10 minutes away from TCU. That's kind of I guess you would say like my dream school. So playing in the Carter was like already huge for me. We had kind of toured it like the day before and saw where the locker room would be. My family was there. I just remember my family, like the game ending and just seeing like 25 maybe of my family members because I had racked up a lot of tickets for the game and just taking the picture with the bowl game trophy. We took pictures with all our classes. And then I would say the locker room. Like I remember the locker room, we were dancing and we were celebrating. It was just a good time. Like just the whole aftermath of when the clock hit zero, even storming the field when when the clock did hit zero, like everything from the clock hitting zero to showering and getting out of the locker room, everything in between was just awesome. It's like being on cloud nine. It was crazy.
Thanks, Phillip.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Wyckoff.
I'm Scott Wyckoff from WBAL Radio in Baltimore, also the Navy Football Radio Network. Phillip, what did it mean to you on Saturday being able to come out in the second half and be a part of those two big plays with the turnovers to help pick up your team?
It was just huge for my confidence, like getting to, play for real in a meaningful game where there was ups and downs. Like I was saying, that was my real welcome to college football moment, like, getting scored on, but being able to recover and people, pouring into me, keeping me up, keeping me out of my head, and just being able to like tell the team, like, I made up for it in a sense, force the fumble, get the interception. Like I feel like I was in debt to them for, the first quarter and getting scored on. So it was great to be able to get back even or pay back, the team for whatever it may be.
How cool is it playing on a defense when you know the offense with all the tools and weapons that they have, that they can score just about every time they have the ball? And if you guys do your job, you guys are in real good shape.
Yes, sir. It's awesome. It's comforting. Like, we talked about it during camp. Like, we're going against the best of the best. Like, you talk about guys like Blake, Eli, Brandon Chapman, Alex. Like, these are guys that to me, can compete, anywhere in the country. So for us to be seeing those looks and, doing one-on-one reps, having to beat blocks, going against those guys. We talk about our O-line too. Like the reps that I feel like we get in practice, like make you comfortable, make you believe, in those guys because we see it every day.
This is a team in Tulsa that, with a new coaching staff, really likes to sling it, and with a lot of transfers, guys that are experienced in big time college football. What have you seen from them in film, and what's the most important thing that you're thinking about heading into this game?
I'm obviously just cleaning up the stuff from UAB. I feel like was like every Monday, we clean that stuff up. Like I said, we're, heavy emphasis on getting lined up and getting communication in this week. We're going to get a game plan in that we trust, and we're going to run it, execute it at a high level. I think we'll be ready for those guys.
And fun to get on the road?
Yes, sir. The first road game. I've never played at a night game like this, so it'll be something new. I don't think, the team maybe that I can think of, at least in recent years, has played in like a night game on the road. We had Rice last year, but that wasn't, I guess, truly supposed to be a night game. So I think this will be our first experience doing it, and I'm excited. Getting on the road. We always say it's a business trip, so it should be fun. I'll have some family up in Oklahoma coming up from Texas. It'll be fun.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wyatt Copeland.
Hi, Phillip. Wyatt Copeland here. I'm the co-host of a new college sports podcast called Broadway to Broadway, and it airs every week. We actually have a new segment on Navy and Army coming out, so really looking forward to having the chance to hear from you here. You're one of 12 starters for Navy, which is the most in the country. How do you describe the transition into this role so early in your career, and how have you and the other starters leaned on each other, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, to meet coaches' expectations?
Yeah, it's just a tight-knit group, I would say, of new starters. Like I think about guys like Justin Ross and Mark and even Julian Mudame. Like we all went to naps together and we've kind of been together. So we, lean on each other. But like the older guys that have been starting, welcome us in. Like I remember getting scored on, like it was Landon Robinson that came and talked to me. It was Jackson Campbell, like guys that have been proven, maybe guys that have experienced, messing up in big moments that kind of welcomed us in and made sure like we're able to go, we're up to speed and ready to compete.
And when did you realize you'd have the opportunity to start at corner for the season opener against VMI?
I didn't really have a moment where it was like I'm the starter really until the game. I knew it was something that could be, I don't want to get like complacent and be like, oh, I'm the starter, so this is what it is. I kind of told myself, even when I maybe was hinted to me that I was the starter, you guys put out articles and things like that. Even the depth chart came out, and I still was kind of telling myself internally, like, you still got to prove it, you still got to do it. So it wasn't until VMI when I was really on the field, that first snap where I was like, okay, this is what it is. And that's just kind of what it was. That was my mindset with it.
Is there anything in particular that you feel has helped you grow into this role particularly? Because I mean, you started against a quarterback last week that had SEC experience, having played at Florida a few years back, and now you're already in conference play. So what do you think it's helped most? Is it watching more film, or is it even hearing a little bit more from the starters of past years?
Well, I think our coaching staff really, puts a lot of or makes it easier for me, like as far as mentally. Like obviously, we watch film and we do things like that. But like having a staff that, constantly, instills in you, you're on the field for a reason. We believe in you, we trust you, we've seen it. Like it makes it less of like a big-eyed moment and more of like I belong, I'm ready to do this. I wouldn't be out here if they didn't think I was ready. So I would say the staff, but the team too. The team always leads to more comfort and just feeling at home, being ready to do what you do.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Phillip, I got a couple. Who else recruited you, and why did you choose Navy?
So Coach Yo Kitis was my big recruiter. I think I knew Coach Yo maybe since my freshman year of high school. I ended up getting offered by Navy. It wasn't until my senior year I got offered, but I just remember coming on the official and like I had the West Point offer too. I just remember like comparing the two, and it was just something different about here. The staff, everybody. It seemed like everybody was more kind of bought in. It was more of like a family relationship. Like I remember on my official visit, like the moms coming up to my mom and like explaining to her all the different mom groups that help out. And then just being in Annapolis, like the city, like I experienced the summer for the first time. It's really fun. Everybody's on the water, we're working out. The backdrop, I'm looking out at it right now. It's sick. So I kind of fell in love with that stuff.
Then, how great is it to have a guy like RB Green be your position coach? I mean, he played corner at Navy, graduated from the Naval Academy, had an illustrious career in the Marine Corps, and now is back here coaching the corners. How great is it to have someone like him coach you? Because not only has he done it, in your shoes on the field, but also in Bancroft Hall.
I would say it's huge. Like having a coach that you can relate to, that can relate to you. Like I don't feel like I'm listening to somebody that, hasn't done it. Like I know for a fact he's done it, even to the point of going to naps. So like everything Coach Green tells me is like coming from the perspective of somebody that's done it. And then a lot of the times, like the stuff that he hints at, he's right. So he's like further proving to you that he knows what you're going through. Even when you think you know it all, it's like he still knows more. Him being able to pour into us is huge, I would say, for me.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Wax.
So we were talking about pass defense. What do you think, led to improvement in the second half against UAB with the pass defense and the defense overall?
I think we just settled in. I think the first half we were kind of like glossy eyed in a sense, like weren't all the way there. We were having miscues in communication, and we're calling some things and playing different things. So I think the breaks like provided a weird kind of opportunity for us to settle in, talk to each other, key in on the game plan. I think we slimmed up some of the calls, tightened up some of the calls, and we just came out second half just more refreshed, less like starstruck, I guess, by UAB. Not starstruck, but less big eyed, and we narrowed in our focus and were able to execute a little bit better.
Did it help that the defense did a little bit better job stopping the run in the second half, which maybe put them in some obvious passing situations?
100%. Coach Volk read a stat yesterday, like how many I think third and 7 plus, how many of them did they convert? And it was like none. So, being able to stop the run early on the downs led to farther or longer third downs where we know they're passing. We can do what we do. We can rush the passer a little bit better. So knowing that, we're forcing third and longs because our front seven is, stopping the run, stuffing the run it was big.
So obviously you grew up as a player within that game. Can you talk about how much you're learning and the experience you're gaining with each passing game?
Yes, sir. I would say like I think being in the game teaches you stuff that maybe being in practice doesn't always like reiterate. Like I've heard in practice, from Coach Green, like we were just saying, Scott, like I've heard from practice, Coach Green telling me, tighten up your eyes, clean up your eyes. And it's one thing to hear it in practice, but in the game, like when I get up that touchdown and I go to the film and I can see I'm looking in the backfield And like now this is actually leading to us, being down on the score, or, the score being tied. Like I'm seeing like this is something you need to clean up, you need to tighten up. So being able to just see stuff in game that you're messing up on and knowing like you've heard it, now it's actually affecting the team. I never want to be the guy that's, letting the team down. So dealing with that stuff in game and having to mature, like you guys said, with the pass interferences and, getting scored on it was big for me growing up kind of in a sense in that game. And I think going forward, as far as my confidence, I think that was also huge, like knowing, I can recover even when things, get bad. Like Noah Short, my close friend said, you've experienced kind of as bad as it gets as a DB, like getting scored on, like that's, cardinal sin. We hate that feeling. But now you've experienced it. Now you've recovered. You showed that you can deal with, hard situations and still come out kind of on top was big for my confidence.
Thanks, Phillip.
Yes, sir.
Barry Trammell.
Yeah, Philip, what do you guys as a player at Navy, you don't spend the time on football that most college football players do. Does that impede you in any way? Or do you think the other things you fill up your time with, whether it's academics or whatever, conditioning, whatever it is, does that make up for whatever you might be missing with extra hours in the film room or whatever it is somebody at LSU or USC does?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be easy to just say on paper like it impedes us. Like obviously we were able to put, more time in football. You would say on paper that it would be better. But I'm not going to say that it impedes us. I think we know we know what we signed up for. We know that academics are vigorous. We know that our time slots are a little more tighter than, you would say like at an LSU type of school. Like class is mandatory. You have to be there. When you have football, you have to do that. And when you have things like in Bancroft or in company, where we live, you have to handle that stuff too. I'm not gonna say it impedes us. You have to learn time management and you have to learn to prioritize things. Like during football, I'm gonna prioritize football. So, I'll put more time in the film in my free time than I would maybe on my phone on TikTok or YouTube or something like that. Like I think it forces us to make kind of grown man decisions earlier on because we have so much or so many like commitments, but it doesn't impede us. If anything, I think it makes us better, better built for it.
One last question. I actually covered your head coach when he was a high school player in Oklahoma. What do you like about Brian Newberry as a head coach, and what do you see that he brings to Navy football?
As a head coach, I've seen Coach Newberry just be cool, calm, and collected. Like he's never too high to me, never too low. He always gets back to neutral. Every time he talks to us, it's about, we breathing and we're focusing and then we're exploding and we're doing our job. When we're celebrating with the team, like trying to keep the limelight off of individuals and keep it focused on the team. That's something I really like about Coach New.
Thanks, Philip.
Yes, sir.
Wyckoff.
Phillip, what does it mean to you to have someone like Andrew Duhart in your defensive backs room?
He's super experienced. Like, Duhart, we kind of grew close. I was kind of me and Justin Ross were like the little brothers last year of the group. But like, as I'm getting older and maybe starting to play more, like just kind of growing, having a more like side to side relationship rather than like a little brother, big brother kind of relationship has been huge. Obviously, like a ton of experience, traveled as a freshman and did things as a freshman, like kind of mirrored, kind of what I'm doing right now and being able to speak from, early playing on as a sophomore and even a junior. Like it's been big. He's very smart. He knows the defense like the back of his hand. If you ever have a question, you can always, ask Duhart. It's big.
How did you benefit from your year at Naps, and how did it prepare you not only for football at Navy, but also being a member of the Brigade of Midshipmen?
Apps was my first kind of introduction to like military life. So I would say once, like as far as customs go, like Naps was huge for me. School as well. Like I learned a lot at Naps that, made my plebe year, I could focus a little less on school and more on football because of the foundation I had at Naps. That was also big for me. Football, I think I gained maybe like 10 pounds at Naps. So I got bigger, faster, stronger, the things like that. So I would say it was vital for my development. I needed it. I don't think I could have came to this place and been a direct and been in the same spot I'm in right now. So
You talked about your mom kind of being recruited by the other mothers. How is she enjoying the college experience, being a mom of a college football player at the Naval Academy?
She loves it. My freshman year, they, traveled to the games that we had in Texas, and she came to Annapolis to play in Memphis last year. That game was crazy, so she enjoyed that stuff. But this year, like this past weekend, she's, calling me, and my dad is crying on the phone and doing all. So they're super excited. The whole family is, kind of seeing her baby boy on TV is like, kind of maybe her dream. She loves that stuff, seeing that I'm doing okay. So
And especially when you have an interception and force a fumble.
yes, sir. That makes it easy for her to be excited.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Wyatt.
So, being from Fort Worth, Phillip, just going back to that lineage that you had with football and watching growing up, did you watch a lot of the Cowboys in the 90s? I mean, maybe that was a little bit before your time, but did you watch a lot in the 2000s then?
I am a diehard Cowboys fan. I hate that we traded Michael Parsons. I hate that we lost on Thursday, but I do love the Dallas Cowboys. I wouldn't say that I'm all the way in with like the 90s stuff. That's kind of like my dad's generation. As much as I'm not all the way tuned in with that stuff, I still claim the Super Bowls and things like that when people try to give me a hard time. So, we haven't had as recent, the success that you would love to have, but I still claim those Super Bowls and stuff that Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and those guys got for us. So definitely.
Who did you grow up idolizing?
Grow up idolizing. I never really idolized Cowboys players. I was a big RG3 guy growing up. I loved RG3. I love Michael Vick. When you're a kid, everybody wants to play quarterback. I played quarterback in high school, so RG3 and Michael Vick were big ones that I kind of looked up to. Tavon Austin. I feel like every kid loves Tavon Austin, but Tavon Austin was another one. Boykin, it was a TCU quarterback that came out. I loved him just because he was, local and went to TCU. That was also somebody I kind of looked up to.
Right, right. Well, last one for me. I know Coach Newberry talked a little bit yesterday about how much communication can still improve, not only in the secondary, but just across this defensive unit. What does good communication look like to you now that you're a sophomore and you're starting?
One, just everybody being on the same page. Like, I don't think we can have moments where, one side of the field thinks we're playing X and the other side thinks we're playing Z. Like, I think everybody being on the same page, like you hear, if you're all wrong, you're all right. Like, so if we're all on the same page, that's the first thing. But, further than communication, like getting lined up, being able to, get the call from the sideline and get lined up quickly, not standing around, kind of looking like not mopey, but like it looks lazy, it looks slow, like it doesn't look all the way locked in. So I would say getting the call, everybody being on the same page, one, and then everybody getting lined up, looking ready to go is two.
Is that something that comes out easily on film when you go back and watch, or is that something you have to see in practice on the field?
On film, like we watch corrections on Monday. It's obvious on film. Like we talked about my second PI against UAB is like I'm standing straight up, looking around for a call. Like you can see it on film, 100%.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Phillip, Scott Wyckoff brought up Andrew Duhart, but also John Peel, 4-year starter for us, and is now a TAD. How has Deshaun helped you this year, being still around and helping coach?
Yeah, DP being around to me is huge. Another guy who last year I was kind of had like that little brother, big brother kind of dynamic, even more than Duhart because he was senior last year. Seeing DP do what he did last year, the interceptions, the pick sixes, like seeing how he can really affect the game and having a guy like that pouring into us now, helping us out now. Even like on Saturdays, I think it's even bigger than it ever is in practice. Like having a guy on the sideline, on the bench that helps us get locked in, helps us know what's going on, helps us kind of tells us from his experience what his playing experience is like. It's big for me.
And then just your overall attitude. I never see you have a bad day. You're always smiling. You're always up. You're never down.
Yes, sir.
Where does that come from? And then second, do you think that helped you on the field too, in that you're quick to move on to the next play, which a cornerback has to have a short memory?
I would just say like just being here and being around the team, like I don't know that I have too much to like complain about. Like I can always smile about something. You talk about number one public school in the country, you're playing big time football, look out and it's, pretty water and boats going by and you're around some of the best people in the world. Like it's not too much I feel like you should be mad about or moping about. So I try to crack a smile whenever possible. But on Saturday, I wouldn't say that was all like my attitude when I got scored on. I'm very hard on myself, Scott, very. So when I got scored on, I hung my head a little bit, but I'm thankful that we're around guys who are able to pick me up, able to, kind of get to me, speak to me, help lift me up. The breaks helped out too, but just having like a coaching staff, like I said, like that just believed in me enough not to, pull me, when they could have pulled me and benched me, or, the players could have gave up and said, this is Phil's fault. Like being around guys like that believe in you enough, it's like, how can you let those guys down?
Thank you. And
Yes,
to
sir.
as a Cowboys fan, watch the Jerry Jones Netflix documentary if you want to keep catch up on the '90s Cowboys.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
10 out of 10.
I will if I get some time, Scott.
But it does make me feel old when you say it's your dad, Derek, because that makes me sound old now. Anyone have anything else for Phillip? All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Phillip. Great job.
Yes, sir. Thank you.